Okay, everybody, I just want to welcome us to something new that we're trying. And this was all my better half's idea, and I want to give her full credit. Her name's Karen. Anyway, welcome to what we're calling Scarin' Karen's 13 Days at Halloween. Because, Karen, we're going to start on your birthday, and we're going to go hard for 13 nights till the big night gets here, Halloween. I don't know if we'll be able to record on Halloween because we're going to be out trick-or-treating, baby. So to get our 13 nights in, we start on your birthday just to make sure.
I'll be at a football game.
Well, this was once again potato. But anyway, we are going to kind of take turns picking movies, and since it was your idea, you got to pick first. And the movie that you picked is The Monkey. The Monkey comes from 2025, directed by Osgood Perkins. Osgood Perkins is the son of Anthony Perkins. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. Osgood Perkins also wrote the screenplay. Of course, it's adapted from the short story by Stephen King, from the collected edition that I'm sure people our age know really well, Skeleton Crew. The picture on the cover of Skeleton Crew was the monkey, inspired by the short story that in turn inspired this movie. It's starring Theo James, a guy I didn't know before I watched this, but I know you're familiar with him, so I'll ask you about him a little bit in a minute.
Yes.
Of course, as I said, Stephen King wrote the short story. Tatiana Maslany, who a lot of people know from Orphan Black. I know her from She-Hulk. She plays the mom in this movie. She is a beloved actor, and I think she does great here. There's a special appearance, is what I'm going to call it. A little more than a cameo, but not a major role, but we get a little bit of Elijah Wood. Did you catch Adam Scott? He was in a Blink and You Miss
Yes,
a
I
cameo.
did at the beginning.
Yeah, he was the
dad.
estranged dad that started all this off. Something that I like about this movie, made for a budget, they estimate between 10 and 11 million bucks on Wikipedia, so I just split the difference, called it 10.5 million. And it made 68 million at the box office. So you make more than 5 times your budget. Sometimes that means there's going to be a Monkey 2.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Osgood Perkins is interested in a Monkey 2. We'll talk more about him in just a minute. But this is a pretty good return. I like it when people make these low budget movies because they can take risks and have fun and have a little bit of an artistic vision in it. Funny to call $10.5 million low budget, but I mean, we're in an age where there's so many blockbusters going over 200 million. And then to see something like this made for, when you make if they'd made this movie for 200 million, it'd be a big bomb at 68 million. You make it for 10 million, it's a big hit. You know what I mean? So I love these lower budget movies. One thing I wanted to ask first, though, is if you ever read the short story, because I know you read a lot of Stephen King. I don't think I've ever read it. If I have read it, I don't remember it.
Same. Yeah, I don't think I've read it.
Do we have that book? I mean, it's like one of those famous books,
I don't
and I know
think
we got
so,
a lot of
no.
stuff on our shelves. Well, anyway, Osgood Perkins adapted the short story for the movie. From what I read, some interviews with Osgood Perkins, he's changed its tone a lot. Like what we see on the movie, with this kind of absurdist tone, I guess is what I call it. Not really there in the short story. But he has his own family history that wanted him to talk about the randomness of death and the unfairness and how it just seems like the most ridiculous way possible that someone would die. People you care about die in these ways you wouldn't ever believe. So his father's Anthony Perkins. Do you know how Anthony Perkins died? He died from complications of HIV.
Okay.
Anthony Perkins was, I guess, I don't know that he used the term back then, but you could say pansexual. He had relationships with men for a good part of his life. Then he settled down with this lady, Benny Berenson or something like that was her name. And they had Osgood as a couple. And the way that Anthony Perkins, this is per an interview with Osgood. So I don't know if it's true or not, but this is what Osgood has said to people. But Osgood, in an interview, said that his father read like the National Enquirer or some kind of thing that said, Anthony Perkins has HIV. Well, his father had never been tested for HIV, and he sees this headline in the paper, so he gets paranoid, he goes to get tested, turns out he does have HIV, and he dies a couple months later. And they later discovered, per Osgood, I don't know if this is true or if he's just talking out of his bunghole, but Osgood claims that his dad went to get routine blood tests. And some of the people there, there were rumors about actors being gay in the 80s, and it was kind of like a big deal then, not like it is now. And there was somebody that said, I want to prove he's gay, and they ran an HIV test without his consent on a blood sample that was drawn and then leaked it to the media. Major violations in health ethics all the way across the board. That's what Osgood Perkins said happened. So that's really absurd. Then his mother died. a few years later, something like 10 years later almost. His mother was actually flying back to a memorial service for his father that was like 10 years after he died. The day she was flying was September 11th, 2001.
Oh.
And she was in one of the planes that hit the Twin Towers.
Oh, wow.
So when that is your experience, you can see why he says, yeah, it might sound ridiculous to you that somebody would die in this incredibly absurd way, but look what happened to my parents.
Right.
And these stories are about children that lose their parents. So that is what Osgood Perkins says inspired him to want to discuss the randomness and the unfairness and the absurdity of death in a random, absurd way. And when I learned that little bit about Osgood Perkins, it really made me enjoy this movie on a little bit different level. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I can see it though. Like, even though I didn't know that, it's definitely absurd.
Yes.
A lot of absurdness.
And you know, there's a couple ways to deal with that. You can get lost in a pit of despair and give up, or you can do like Osgood does here, and he's like, hey, I'm going to share the pain with as many people as I can.
Yeah.
So
I think that's the difference in the two brothers. Like you were saying, like the one brother is just like, you know
I didn't even pick up on that.
like maybe the director is.
How about right now we just go ahead and let people know. Oh, and just one last thing.
Okay.
Osgood Perkins is in the movie. He plays the creepy uncle with the sideburns.
I was wondering who that
"We're
was."
gonna." He has one of the best lines of the movie when he says, "Me and your aunt, we're going to try our best, but I'm going to tell you, we're probably going to suck at it."
Yeah.
Oh, and we're swingers, by the way.
Yes. Right.
I love the lines. There's so many good one-liners in this movie. But anyway, spoiler warning. We already mentioned twin brothers, so anything I talk about, I can't talk about it without talking about details. So there's going to be spoilers here. We haven't really spoiled much yet. I mean, you know they're twins from the beginning of the movie. But the twins develop in different ways. So we're going to talk about those details. We're going to talk about everything in this movie. We're going to talk about themes. So spoilers here on out. You've been warned. You don't want to watch our little thing till you after you watch the movie. Just save it, pause it, go watch it, come back. I'm not your dad. Do whatever you want. Okay, so I'm just going to give like a brief synopsis, like the premise of the movie, and then we can go into it and start talking about it.
Okay.
But I tried to distill it to just one sentence, and here's what I'd say. The premise is that an absentee father gifts his twin sons with a cursed monkey.
Yeah.
That's pretty good synopsis. Did I leave out anything important there?
Nope.
Okay.
Pretty much tells it all.
And I guess since the name of the movie's The Monkey, and the cover of Skeleton Crew is this monkey, and for people our age, we're Gen X, you know. You're just barely Gen X. I'm definitely Gen X. But for us, man, that's an iconic image, that monkey. So what do you think about the monkey in the movie? Because it's different than the ones on the book cover. What'd you notice about the monkey? You were telling me some things you noticed.
The color of the vest is red. The eyes are red. There's a lot of red in the movie.
And I probably
Vibrant reds.
probably should have done this earlier, but I just want to give people a little bit of your bona fides there.
Okay.
I mean, you've got a degree in art, visual art, so you really do like, you're familiar with color theories and the value of color in images, and you do a lot of set design and things for local production. So you're not just a person saying, I see red. I just wanted to go ahead and say, like, you probably have a little bit more interest in these things than I would, for example. So sorry to interrupt there, but you had mentioned that there was like the red on the vest, the red on the hat, and the reds. You felt like you saw vibrant reds throughout this movie, as if there was some symbolism to the color.
Oh, just every scene where somebody gets killed, there's a lot of blood, and it's all really bright red, and it just splatters everywhere.
It doesn't feel gory, even though it's really gory, does it?
It doesn't. It's kind of contained, really.
It feels absurd.
Yeah.
And when it feels absurd, like, I would say it doesn't get the same visceral response something like Hostel would get.
Yeah.
And I can't explain it because it's way more bloody. But
it doesn't linger, I think, is what it doesn't linger on that moment. It shows what it needs to, and then it goes on.
I think a high number of the deaths, not all of them, but a lot of them are almost explosive, I would say, where you go from 0 to 100 so fast you don't even have time for it to wash over you.
Right.
So we'll go into some of those kills, but I'm trying to figure out how this manages to be so bloody and gory but not feel disturbing like other bloody, gory things do to people.
Right.
I don't know, you have any other thoughts on that?
No, not really.
Well, what'd you think of those teeth on the monkey? There's something about human teeth on a non-human thing. Like, I saw where somebody had a teddy bear where they took their dead grandpa's false teeth and like stitched them into this homemade teddy bear to remember the grandpa, and it was nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
And they got those fugglers. It's got like fuggler
those
teeth.
fake teeth. I think it's just disturbing. Is it kind of, I don't know. It just makes you like, you're kind of attracted to it, but then you're also like, ooh, you're kind of grossed out by it too.
It's like a dead end. It's like a bad car wreck where you can't turn away. You got to see it, but it's not pretty.
Yeah. It's like people collecting teeth, like their children's teeth after when they come out, something like that.
And then that iconic monkey had the cymbals. This monkey has the drum, which I like because they added that whole element where it pulls up its hand and the drumstick spins, and it's just a lot more dramatic than if you were just banging cymbals.
I think so too. With the cymbal too, when you stretch out, like it's going to clap, but this one's like it holds it up and you have no idea when it's going to drop. But
it does build some tension, doesn't it?
It does.
Well, the reason they changed it from a cymbal to a drum, according to interviews, I think, again, with Osgood Perkins, is there was concern because there's the cymbal monkey in Toy Story.
Oh.
And Disney has a certain copyright to products with that design
that's
now.
Weird. Okay.
So I guess if they ever wanted to do any merchandising from this movie, they needed to change the monkey. I don't know if that's true or not. Again,
everything.
I'm not standing behind anything I say. I'm just sharing gossip. This is the tea. This is movie tea.
Yeah.
Ooh, we should start a show called Movie Tea, where we just talk about tea. Anyway, just wanted to talk about the monkey a little bit. The next thing I kind of want to say is I wasn't familiar with Theo James. I know you watched the Divergent movies. You didn't really like me when I didn't like them.
Yeah.
But you liked him, and Theo James was in Divergent?
Yes. So
tell me more.
He played 4 in the Divergent movies, and he's a British actor, so I'm not used to hearing him with his British accent, but more with an English accent. And so in the Divergent movies, he plays more of a action hero type. He kills a lot of people and stuff in that. Like, he's just a very stoic figure in that. And then in this movie, he's a little more meek, and then he's like crazy. The one twin is like just off the wall crazy, and then the one twin is just like really.
He's also crazy,
but like
it's
reserved
kind of
crazy, right?
Yeah.
He kind of holds it back a little bit. So the characters are different, but it was disturbing a little to me to hear him speak in an English accent in this, but not because he played 4 in 3 movies, as this really strong character, but then he's a crazy character in this one. So it's different to see that.
I also like it because if you're looking at some commentary on childhood development and childhood trauma and stuff, it's all here. And it's interesting. This is like that ideal psychological study is a twin study where 2 twins, they have the same genetics, but they have different environments. So you see how much is environment, how much is genetic. Well, this is like one childhood trauma kind of turns one into someone who's more like borderline personality disorder, very narcissistic. The other one becomes very avoidant.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how there's different ways to deal with the same childhood trauma. Neither of them's healthy. And they're the 2 of them trying to become whole again and be reconciled. Well, that doesn't quite work out. But I do like that kind of theme they're talking about, the childhood trauma and development. Did you I thought that Theo James, though, he felt like 2 different people. I was not familiar with the guy, and sometimes when I'm not familiar with somebody, I set my expectations low because I think if they're really good, I'd probably know about them. But my goodness, I believed he was 2 separate people. He almost felt like he was Mark Duplass when he was the evil brother. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Mark Duplass? And then when he's the good brother, he feels like just a totally different, not really the good brother, but in the context of the story, we think of him as the good brother. They're both bad brothers.
Right. But I kind of liked the calm. I liked the calm crazy better than the crazy though. There's just something about like
the neurotic one.
The drool coming out of his mouth, and he just like he would be sweating all the time, and then he had that weird mullet hairdo, like he just and wearing the suit. He was wearing the. There's a scene after a funeral where he says he wasn't going to take off his suit because if he takes the suit off, somebody's going to die and he's going to have to put it back on. But if he just leaves the suit on, nobody's going to die. Well, then as a grown-up, you see him, he's wearing that suit still because he's thinking, like, I guess nobody's going to die. I don't know.
Do you know who Angus Young is from AC/DC? Wears a schoolboy outfit when he's up on stage playing guitar.
If I saw him, I probably would know. But
well, he's wearing that child funeral suit, and it kind of looks like Angus Young when he's like 80 years old and wearing a schoolboy outfit. It just looks funny. He's got like a bare midriff, so he makes this flame stuff to cover it up. up when he's an adult. But it's kind of like one of those challenges that a lot of lay people, I mean, I don't know anything magical about acting, but you watch a twin performance, where one person plays two roles in the same movie, and that really gives you an idea for how good they are. Like Nicolas Cage in that Kaufman movie, White adaptation, where he plays like the good twin. And then recently we had Sinners that we watched with Michael B. Jordan, one of the best actors out there, and he does a great job of playing twins. It's a different performance that's asked for from Theo James, but I think I like Theo James's performance here as much as Michael B. Jordan's.
Too. Yeah, it's very it's so different. I think that's what I like about it too, is that you can tell the difference in the twins. You can really feel their different personalities, and he really brings that out in both of them.
Yeah. Did you have any other performances that stood out to you? Because I was so impressed with Theo James, I honestly don't remember a whole lot of the other ones. I got kind of sucked in. But you're more observant than me on the broad scheme. I tend to get hyper vigilant about one thing or the other.
I think she wasn't in there very long. The aunt. There was something creepy about Aunt
the one whose hair caught on fire and everything.
So, I mean, she really had more looks than anything. She didn't speak a whole lot. She spoke towards the end right before she got killed or whatever. But just the looks that she gave that creepy aunt, like the aunt that might touch kids. Feel, because in the scene where they're at the funeral and she's she puts her hand on his leg and he slaps her hand off
on that.
Yeah, I don't know if it was slapping her hand off because he doesn't like to be touched, but she just kind of puts her hand on his leg and he slaps it off, and I'm like, ooh, maybe she's a creepy aunt in that way.
That's a great catch, Karen.
Maybe they're creepy
I totally
because
believe that one.
Well, then later the uncle says that they're swingers, and I'm like, oh, maybe they're trying to draw the kids into that world.
And
too.
Osgood Perkins looks like a pretty creepy dude himself with those mutton chops.
He's very skeevy.
Something about an older, skinny stepdad just looks pervy. Maybe it's my own background.
Yes,
I don't know. I won't get into those details. How did those ridiculous kills land with you? Because I love this movie. I'm going to go ahead and show my hand. If we were playing poker, you'd be able to fold right now because I got a killer hand. I love ridiculous kills. This is my kind of movie. Horror comedy appeals to me. I'm a comedy whore, so I like horror comedy. Horror and horror sound a lot alike, by the way. But anyway, how did you feel about the ridiculous kills? Do you have any favorites or anything?
Okay, so the one that really stuck out to me, which I thought was just absolutely ludicrous, but I can't stop thinking about it, was when the girl got electrocuted in the pool. And he's talking to
that is a good one.
He's talking to his brother on the phone. The air conditioner falls off, hits the ground, sends an electric shock into the water, and this girl is getting ready to jump into the swimming pool, and as soon as she touches the water, she just explodes. And then her leg or her arm or something hits the wall, and Theo James says, what the? It just about gets hit every time a kill happens, and he's right there. He always says, what the F?
That's his catchphrase. And you pointed that out to me because I didn't even realize it. And I said, oh, look at him. All he has to say is WTF. And you're like, he says that every time. And then I watched it a second time with you this morning, and he says WTF. It's like he's seen so much absurd stuff. That's the most reaction you can get out of him is that WTF.
Well, and that scene, I've watched it several times because I just like to go back and look at it again to see if I catch anything else. But I noticed once she explodes and then the leg or the arm hits the wall, and then it pans back to the swimming pool, and then you see the blood all rain down. It's a good 5 or 10 seconds in between. So you think that blood must have really shot really high up in the air, and then it all comes down and hits the water, and then something else falls into the water, and I can't quite figure out what that is. I don't know if it's her skull or what, but something big and white just goes plop.
Does that make you scared to get in the pool next summer? Do you think that's real?
Well, and this is also weird too, okay? Some of the absurdness, he woke up in the middle of the night. There just happened to be somebody getting ready to go swimming in the pool in the middle of the night at 2 o'clock in the morning, so. Well, let's talk. But it reminds me also of I love True Blood.
Yeah.
And a lot of the vampire kills on there, they just explode. And so this is it was like an explosive shot like that. So.
Oh, I love it. Now, I think the most memorable death, though, was the wasps.
Yeah, that's the one that you really like.
Do you want to describe what happens here for us?
So there's a wasp nest that's in a tree, and there's Ricky, the kid that wants the monkey.
He's dressed like a cop because he stole his dad's police uniform.
So he is in the car with Hal, and he's got Hal at gunpoint, and he says something about the wasp nest, and he's, ooh, don't look at that. So then you kind of know that something's getting ready to happen. Well, then he takes the gun and he starts scratching his head. He's like, oh, my head's itching, and I just knew right there that something, I said, he's going to shoot that windshield. It's going to go right into that wasp nest, and that's exactly what happened. But then I didn't expect what happened next. So then the camera looks through the hole right into the wasp nest.
Great shot.
Right.
Beautiful
like
shot.
right through, right into that hole. And then one little wasp comes out, and it's almost like he takes his legs and he goes like this. And then they just all shoot out like a laser beam into this kid's, like through the windshield, through the hole into this kid's mouth. And he just fills up with wasps. and you just watch the whole thing. And then Theo James just goes, what the F? Like, he's just sitting
What
there.
the F?
And I'm like,
That's the
why are you
phrase.
just sitting there watching? Why are you not getting out of the car? So yeah,
loved
that
it,
one
man.
was ridiculous. And you also said you thought that was cool because it was like a reverse Candyman.
Yeah, it's like Candyman, the bees flew out of his mouth. Well, here the wasps fly in. And it's just such a weird straight line. And that Ricky character I found pretty funny.
Yeah, he was.
And I love it too, because right before this, Theo is sitting in the front seat and he looks around and he says, I think you're not really a cop. And the guy's like, no shit, I'm not a cop. Look at me. Come on, man. I mean, he's got like raggedy hair.
Yeah,
right?
his
That
hair's all in his
uniform
face.
doesn't fit him. He doesn't know. He's like, open the door, I'm the effing police. I mean, he doesn't even know how to act like a cop. But he says, my dad was a cop, but my dad left because he wanted to chase, we'll say, girls.
Yeah.
I don't know why I had to go out and chase girls, because there's plenty of girls here in this town. Only he doesn't say girls. He specifically refers to anatomy. But I love that character. I had to look up what he was in, and he had been in something else I'd seen, but I can't remember what it is now because it wasn't big. But I thought Ricky was a lot of fun. With the weird, absurd tone here, I had a lot of fun too. Like when Theo, in all seriousness, says, "I don't think you're really a cop," like that kind of absurdity.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I've aimed for. Like in the little movie that I've made and all this stuff, I try to look for that sort of weird absurdity, and when
Yeah.
somebody does it right, it just makes me jealous. I wish I
Right.
could do it that good. But I also like the real estate agent,
Yes.
and when the real estate agent first off, she's thirsty, ain't she? I mean,
She
she's like,
definitely is.
she's like, oh, you
have
a pretty man.
face. Yeah.
But then also, you know, Hal hasn't told his son that he has a brother. He told his son he was an only child. She goes in, oh, I'm glad your brother told you. You know, your brother who you have as a twin, you know, all this. I love this real estate agent. She's just great. And then when she's talking about all the deaths, and at one point, you know, I think it's Hal says, but there's not any cobras in Maine. She goes, yeah, there's not, but there was that one.
Yeah.
You know, that's all
Right.
it takes. So the real estate agent, that actor, I don't know who she is, but she did a great job, and she really embodied for me the absurdity of this. Also, you remember when she's talking about the deaths, and there's just like a guy with a lawnmower over his head and blood is spewing over the
The
fence.
other
and
guy's
it-
just drinking a beer.
like-
And there's blood all over him, and he's just standing there like drinking a beer.
so
That
I
was
love
funny,
all that.
yeah.
Did you have any favorite shots in the movie?
Favorite shots?
You know, like for me, I'll go ahead and tell you what my favorite shot was while
Okay.
you think about this. So my absolute favorite shot was when he's talking on the phone and everything clicks and he realizes his brother's in town and his brother has the monkey and his brother's responsible. And he gets all that awareness, and you almost see like the camera travel through the phone line into the brother's room up to the brother's face.
Oh.
And I love that shot.
I
I've
must
never
not have paid
seen a
attention to that,
realization
yeah.
shot like that,
Okay.
but it's like you feel the realization hit him through the phone, and then the camera goes like through the phone line and comes out. I love that. I'm going to steal that for a 72-hour film challenge or
Yeah.
something next year. I love that shot.
I think an interesting shot for me then, and it might have just been more of like a special effect, was when he was dreaming. The kaleidoscope. I was trying to figure out what that symbolized. You know what I'm talking about? The scene where he first has the dream about the monkey, but he's like, he hears the drum, but it's him like sleeping in the bed, and then it just spirals down, and then it turns into a kaleidoscope, like if you were looking through a
Yeah,
kaleidoscope, and it's nothing but like the drum and the sticks and like parts of the monkey that are like spinning around.
That's a beautiful sequence. That was tough editing. I would say that was really good
pretty
editing.
though. It was really pretty.
But I love that shot, which was, editing too. The shot through the phone. I like the shot going through the hole in the wasp nest. You see the wasp rub its little hands together because it's like, all right, boys, we're ready to march. I also, I think I really like the final kill when we're talking about the absurdity, because I think we're done at recapping the movie. You want to recap it, or you want me to recap it here?
I can do it. So at the end,
start with the horse.
Oh yes, okay. So there's a line in the movie where he talks about riding a pale horse, like death is on a pale horse.
Yeah.
And he looks up. He's in the car with his son. Everything is like the whole town is like it's like apocalypse. The whole town's on fire, and they're sitting at a stoplight. And you see death on a horse just riding in front of the car, and he looks over at him, and Theo James's character looks at him and he just kind of gives him a nod, and then death just kind of gives him this look like, oh, this is ridiculous, like almost like this is too many deaths. And so then he rides off.
Yep, death to death.
Yep. And then death is like, he's gone. And then the car, like the light turns green and the car goes through. And you think that maybe one last thing is going to happen, that maybe at the end that Hal and his son are going to get hit, but it's not them. So they go across the street, and then this school bus comes, his random school bus with a bunch of cheerleaders hanging out the window, and they've got their pom-poms and stuff.
Just for no reason. The city has just faced an apocalypse, and cheerleaders are cheering for their pep club or something. I don't know what they're doing on the school bus.
They're all hanging out the window, and you know what happens. You know what happens. They've all told you when you've ridden a school bus, don't stick your head out of the window because this could happen, and it happened. A truck, a Mack truck, an 18-wheeler drove by and took all their heads off. And so then they are all just like flopped down, and their pom-poms are hanging down. It's the most random,
out of the blue ending I've ever seen,
like,
and I loved it.
I'm gonna kill 15 more people before the end. So,
all right. So I think we covered all the details. People have a good idea how we felt about the movie. I always like to try to look at some of the themes. That's something I enjoy. A lot of the movies I look are straight garbage and don't have themes, but I see some themes in this. The absurdity and the randomness of death, like we talked about with Osgood Perkins and his background with his mother and father. But then, good art exists beyond our authorial intent. I struggle to say that. Do you know what that means? So that means, like, let's just say I paint a picture and I say this is a picture of a flower that shows how there's hope in life. Well, somebody can say that's a picture of a flower and it speaks to me because even though that flower is beautiful now, it's going to die someday and you need to enjoy it. So even though your intent is to say one thing, art can say more than the artist does. Does that make sense?
yes.
So I don't know that this is necessarily what Osgood Perkins was trying to say or what Stephen King was trying to say, but I see a big statement about family dysfunction and cyclical nature because we know that Hal and Bill's dad left, and then we also know that Hal left his son, then Ricky's dad left him, and we're getting all these people leaving each other and this dysfunction, and there's also kind of like this idea of trying to run away from the bad parts of your family, something that's also investigated in Frank Henenlotter's Basket Case. I always clinch onto this because you know how I am about my Kentucky family. And you feel like no matter how hard you try to get away from them, they always come back. Like, remember when my mom got sick and how distressing all that was, that I had to upend my life because my Kentucky family? Well, anyway, so I'm a little sensitive to that. So I see this being like the family dysfunction, its cyclical nature, and maybe, just maybe, Hal is going to break that with PD the way I'm trying really hard to break that with our kids. And you too. I mean, you come from a broken family too. It's not just me. So I really see that, and I pick up a lot. Also, to me, I can kind of see a little bit like this monkey is inherited from their father. The brothers are cursed with it. Now I see a future in which PD's cursed with it, and it's kind of like mental illness. Because I've also told you sometimes I feel guilty about the things that I knew I inherited from my parents, that, having kids, am I passing this monkey along? And I can see how that could speak to somebody. And I also see how Hal here feels like if he cares about people because he's cursed, the best thing he can do to prove he loves someone is to stay out of their life. And there have been times I felt like that myself. I take my medicine, go to my therapy. I feel better now. But there are times when I have felt that way, and I can see him feeling with that way, dealing with it, maybe coming out on the other side. So I just saw a whole lot there that maybe goes beyond authorial intent. I didn't know if there's anything you picked up on thematically, or if you think any of those things I said are interesting or valid.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I feel like the monkey itself has a little more symbolism, as in like he accepted death, and that death happens. The end of things just happen, and that's life. Like, on the box it said, what did it say? It said something like, life is like, or
This
like
monkey
life.
is like life, I think.
Something like that. It said like life, or
I don't remember, but
it had something to do with life on
it
there.
emphasizes life over death on the box.
Yes, and so I feel like he just has to accept that sometimes things just happen, and as he takes that monkey with him and carries it with him, he can't just give it away. He has to just pass it on, which is what he's doing.
Are you familiar? I don't know if you're familiar with it or not. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I will talk about this Buddhist concept of impermanence, where it says basically everything is impermanent. Everything is impermanent. Everything ends. Everybody dies. Nothing lasts forever.
Yeah.
And if you sit being worried about losing something, you don't enjoy it while you have it.
Right.
So you have to accept, like I love you, but I have to accept that one of us is going to die first.
Yeah.
Most likely, unless unless one of our kids get a monkey and we die at the same time from like a ridiculous washing machine accident or something. But
I also think that's why, like, when he keeps destroying it, or trying to destroy it, it keeps coming back.
It's a treatise on mortality. It's the one thing you can't escape.
Yeah. And
I
also
like it.
when the older brother, or not the older brother, well, I guess he kind of is the older brother. He thinks he's the older brother. When he tries to control it, then it backfires and gets him in the end.
Yeah.
So I think really, like, he didn't accept it for what it was.
Another Buddhist principle. I wonder if Osgood Perkins is Buddhist. Another, the source of misery or suffering is the way I was taught in the books I read. The source of suffering is craving to control things you cannot control.
Yeah.
Boy, doesn't that happen here?
Right. Well, I think when he finally accepted it is when it got him.
Yeah,
you know what I
exactly.
mean?
Acceptance.
Like, and so it got him in a different way. So he.
Can I tell you something? I really have enjoyed talking about this movie with you.
Yeah.
You opened my eyes to aspects of it I didn't see, and it makes the movie I already loved even better. I love you so much.
Yeah, love you too.
So.
There's one more part. So there's one part that really stuck out to me, and I think a little bit about like the finality of it all, and like when he started to accept death, but he didn't really want to, was when the scene at the funeral when the brother that's the asshole stood up and said, "Mom, get up. Mom, you're joking. I know you're joking." And she was dead and she was in the coffin, and he told the other guy to like shut up or whatever. But then you could see it on his face that she was not joking. We all knew that she was really dead, but it was like he just was completely against it, and then he finally accepted it and sat down. It was just a really sad moment where he was really feeling that, like, that human emotion, after being such a jerk in the earlier parts of the movie, and then he continued to be a jerk, but it was like that one moment of clarity, but then it like really kicked off, a little bit more of the mental illness where he just was rejecting everything. So I think that was just the mom in me that was like, I can't stop thinking about that part
I love
too.
hearing your perspective, because that's not a perspective I had. I mean, I didn't have that feeling.
Yeah.
I like hearing that. Well, so, we decided we wanted to grade these movies on kind of two scales. We want to talk about how scary it is, because we're watching them because they're scary movies. And then we want to give it an overall pumpkin rating, because you can be a really good movie and not be scary. Also, a movie can be scary as heck and be not all that good, Because, like, I got pretty scared watching Green Inferno, but I didn't enjoy the movie,
Right, yeah.
So what do you give the scare grade on this one? I'm curious to hear what you say.
As far as a scare grade, I'll probably give it about a C.
That's the same thing I was going to give it. It's not going to give me nightmares.
It's not super scary.
If I was alone in the house watching this in the dark, it wouldn't creep me out as much as even something like Scream would.
Yeah.
So
It's more horror, gory, but like not realistic. You know what I mean? It's like something that can't happen.
It's supernatural horror for sure, but it's also more Lovecraftian, where it's like the concept of the existence of this thing is what's scarier than, like, if I actually found the thing, I would just never turn the key.
Yeah,
Problem
right.
solved.
There's never been any instance of something like this
Yeah.
happening, so it's not,
But now the overall rating
real.
on a scale of 0 to 5 pumpkins, much like a star rating, since we're doing scary movies, I thought let's do pumpkins.
I'd probably give it about a 4.
I think I'm gonna give it a full 5. I love this pumpkin movie.
I think it was really funny. I don't know. I don't feel it's as original as I would like for it to be. It's not
Sure.
a new
Yeah.
concept because I feel like there's other movies that are doing the same sort of thing in a different, in a different style. But yeah, I think it's because it's not really an original idea.
And
That's
also,
why I gave it a 4.
I think those things that maybe I wove into it myself more than was actually there in the movie about family dysfunction, mental health, my own personal experience probably made me like really link to this. But yeah,
It is super funny. I
4
definitely
pumpkins,
would like,
5 pumpkins. I mean, both of those are good at ringing
Yeah.
endorsements. So I hope if anybody's still undecided on this movie, you go out and check it out. It's a good
definitely
time.
watch it. Yeah.
Even if you're squeamish and it's really bloody, the squeamishness, I think you'll be able to handle it because it's like cartoonish almost.
Oh, right, yeah. I think if you're not a big like horror fan and you don't like that kind of, this is actually like pretty funny.
Do you have any kind of
think you'd like
signature
it.
sign off we should do when we wrap this thing up?
I don't
Here's
know.
what. How about this? Don't give up. Make art. Enjoy art. Have fun. Love life.
Yeah.
All right.
Do what you love what you do.
See you later, everybody.